3, 2, 1, go.
Welcome everybody.
Welcome everyone
Hello.
to another episode of our Sunday Q&A where we take your comments from the week, we answer them, we pick the ones we like. Some of them are not even questions, but we just like like the comments. So
besides this show, anything else going on this weekend?
Nothing special.
Nothing special this weekend?
Well, by the time this airs, it would have already been done. But yeah.
This weekend is Daniel's birthday weekend.
Yes.
Happy birthday, buddy.
Thanks, Pa. Thank you. I appreciate that.
No problem.
Let's get
back to work. Back to work. Enough
here.
with the fooling around here.
Let's get right into it. So, the first one, I found this to be really interesting, and I wanted your take on it here, and so does this person. So, Kevin Hill says, what are your comments on the latest group of condo owners being assessed $70,000 each for repairs to leaks in the garage on a 7-year-old building? What can condo owners do legally and their rights? An in-depth video is needed on this subject. High cost of condos and now this. Toronto condos are not the best when it comes to construction. Thanks.
This is in the news right now. This is a major, major problem. Toronto condos are not the best when it comes to construction. Just the last sentence. Look, the vast majority of condos don't have issues like this, and when they start to develop issues, it's after many, many years. This is totally unfortunate. I'm not trying in any way to water this down. I just think a building that new, something went wrong really badly somewhere in the engineering, in the construction. I don't know. Like it's just not the way it's designed, or maybe by mistake it was designed for this, we'll call it malfunction, because this is just not what it's supposed to. This is not how the building is supposed to perform.
Yeah.
And it's totally unfortunate that right now the homeowners are getting a special assessment of $70,000. That's absolutely absurd. It's just nuts. Many of the homeowners won't have that. And like they paid a premium to buy in a newer building, many of these people, on purpose. We've worked with buyers that'll say, no, I want something under 10 years old. I don't want, or some under 5 years old. I don't want anything, much older. I don't want to be part of it when they start to develop problems. So they pay extra to be in a newer building. And this happens.
Yeah.
I don't know if they can go after the builder. This is it's not like the builder's going to say, oh, sorry, it's my fault. Like there's going to be a legal battle. There's the builder, there's the engineering, there's the inspectors that passed inspection along the way. Like they've got to figure out why this happened and then go from there. But I don't know how this is going to end up, but the homeowners are not just going to accept this.
Yeah. I remember we went through something similar on a condo that we were looking at buying for one of our clients, and the owners there had gotten hit with a special assessment. It was like a big plumbing issue, I believe it was, and yeah, everyone was freaking out about that. And obviously, our client didn't want to go through with the deal after that. But learning more about that situation, they were going after the builder.
Yeah,
they were looking to sue the builder to get to recover all those funds. So I'm sure there's going to be a solution. I hope it's not the $70,000 for each person, because that's
and part of that, what complicates this.
Yeah.
If you do try to sue somebody, like let's just say the builder. That's years in the process. It's not like in a few months it gets sorted out and then the contractor comes in to repair it. It needs to be repaired now, I'm assuming, and then you deal with the legal side of it later. So where's the money coming from now?
Next question here comes from, or comment here comes from Blacko P. And Blacko says, the people asking you these questions just don't get that in Toronto there is lots of money. They can afford to keep a property or rent it out with a negative cash flow. They just write off the losses on their taxes.
I'll agree. There's a lot of people with a lot of money, and it's just part of business. They invest in stock. You lose some, you win some. You hope overall, you lean towards the positive versus the negative. A lot of people that own multiple properties. I think the people that are I think I know the homeowners, the investors that are suffering the most are what I would call the mom and pop investors. They are dabbling in, oh, let's get one extra property. Our home value went up so much, though our principal resident. Let's take a few bucks. Let's buy something else. Those are the ones that are having a really, really hard time.
Yeah. And we do hear this comment is dead on. We know of a lot of people that own multiple units that they prefer to leave vacant for not having to deal with the headache of potential tenants and whatever happens there. So yeah, it's true. There is a lot of money in the city, not just Toronto, in York Region, Peel, everywhere. There's a lot of money, and so yeah, it's definitely part of the issue. But next question here, next comment here, I had to include this one because we included it last week, and we found it really interesting. But he has an update. This one's from Clausoon, and it's an update. Do you remember the person that had 90 homes on their watch list?
Yeah. So I said only 90.
Yeah. So Clausoon says, I did some stats on my watch list. It's now up to 120 entries, mostly 1 and 1+1 bedroom condos downtown. I identified 3 groups of sellers. All numbers are rounded off medians. The diluted sellers started at $650 and lowered their prices to $590 before giving up. They were on the market for 110 days. The hopeful sellers started at $590 and have lowered their prices to $570. They are still trying after 70 days. The practical sellers started at $570 and sold at $530 after 90 days. I'm just looking at the numbers though. I'd love to hear what insights you've got on the psychology of different groups of sellers from actually talking to them.
Lots of serious questions today.
I know.
I show up here Sunday morning to do this to have some fun.
That's right.
These are serious questions. Yeah. The psychology of buyers. Of sellers.
I think
it's hard to separate the seller from the listing agent. So sometimes the seller runs the show and needs a listing agent, the administration. So the seller runs the show. Sometimes the seller is putting all their trust and faith in the listing agent, and the listing agent runs the show and decides on pricing and strategy and everything. So sometimes it's one, sometimes it's the other. But the psychology, some people will look at how much profit they need to make and price accordingly. And we all know the market really doesn't care, right? If priced accordingly to the kind of profit you want to make, puts you at 600,000, for example, but all the comparable units are selling for 500,000. The market doesn't care that you need 600,000 or you need 600 because that you're or you need that because you're buying something else, and that the market doesn't care. So the price is the price. I find there's sellers like that. I find that there are sellers that look, what's realistically my unit going to sell for? And then you give them a realistic, accurate number from doing all the research, not just checking which way the wind's blowing. You actually do the research and you present it and say, blah, 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 blah. These are the reasons. And the seller's either going to buy into that because they see the evidence and believe it, or they don't. But even if they do believe it, they can choose to say, that number doesn't work for me, so I'm not going to sell. Or that number works for me, but I want to be sold. I don't want to be sitting on the market. And then you go a little bit under. So it depends on the seller, their position. You know, can they just move on and sell it at a loss sometimes? You know,
I was going to say, I think one of the biggest considerations too, when speaking to different sellers, is how much they bought it for.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, some, you know, especially if we're talking ones that have bought recently, they have a hard time biting the bullet. It's really easy for us to say, look, that's the price, and you know, so you're going to lose 20,000, you're going to lose 120,000. Just, you know, be realistic. Understand that that's the number, and move on with your life. But it's not our 120,000; it's their 120,000, and a lot of people listen to the show will also comment, "Oh, you should just drop the price and move on, take your loss." It's not that easy. It's not that easy. So, but then there's the realistic ones that just understand. They understand business. They understand how the market works, and they're going to price it accordingly.
Yeah. Okay. So next comment here comes from Omark8344, and Omark says, Santo is addicted to negativity so he can get more clicks and views. And then there was actually like 5 replies under this particular comment.
Did they all say I'm negative?
Well, some were saying, you know, he tells the truth, and some were saying, yeah, but he is so negative, blah blah. And so I think when it comes to that, and this person actually commented again underneath saying that, like, you know, things are looking a little bit better now, but your titles and videos are still negative. So what we can confidently say, we've been doing...
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. When he says things are looking better, what does he mean?
In terms of sales going up, prices maybe have like inched up for the week.
But didn't I say we expect sales to creep up and to be a bit better in the fall?
Yes.
That's positive,
That's
right?
positive, yeah. But they're talking about the titles. We're talking about titles and thumbnails.
Oh, we're talking about your department.
We're talking about my job here.
Oh, you see how he's skirting around now? We're talking about your department.
I can tell you that we have been doing these videos on
this is going to be good.
A weekly basis for 4 years now. 4 years now.
4.5, I think.
4.5. We've been doing YouTube videos for quite a long time, but we've been doing them on a weekly basis for about 4.5 years now. And that's over, I think we're over 700 videos now.
Jeez.
So I have a lot of data to back this up, but positive titles, okay, no one watches them. No one
Say
watches
it isn't
them.
so.
I'm sorry. We try, okay, if one thing, you can go back into every single video we've done, and we have never used the word crash. Okay.
If you're looking to get into the YouTube business, here's a pro marketing tip.
We got a lot of data. We've never used the word crash because I always felt like that was like kind of like the worst of the that you can. That's really dramatizing it. But we never use the word crash. But we do have to be negative, because if we're not negative, you won't watch. I'm sorry.
We've never used the word. We've never used the word crash. But we've doubled down a few times on falling off a cliff.
You know what?
You're doomed. We've used that a few times.
I've never used doomed, but prices falling off a cliff, that I think was actually one of our best videos. That was our highest viewed video. If
we say, don't worry, everything will be okay, nobody watches.
So basically what we do, our process when we make the thumbnails or we make the titles, is we talk about it, and then we get the title, and then we say, okay, how can we water this down a bit so it's not as negative? And what you see is the result of that. So we try. If we did positive titles, no one would watch. That's long answer short. That's it right there.
And if anybody's accusing us of creating these videos so people can watch, we're guilty.
Yes. We want people to watch. That's the whole point, right?
We're guilty.
So we just hope that all the information that we provide, which I think is quite a bit, is beneficial to you guys. So yes, the titles, thumbnails might be a little dramatic, but you still get some pretty good information out of it. So,
but we are not negative.
We are not negative. In real life, we're pretty positive, actually. We're very positive.
Very positive.
And you know, they accuse you of being negative.
Because I'm giving him negative numbers, but they're real numbers.
He is the most positive man you will ever meet in your life. I promise you that. But okay, enough about that. Let's get into the next question here, or next comment. So next comment is from Green Bean. And this is when we were talking about the pre-construction, the 2018 pre-construction purchase that was sold for the 2018 pre-construction price, essentially.
Yeah, the 2024 that was sold for the 2018 pre-construction price.
That's the one.
Okay.
So Green Bean says, one-off situations are not an indication of anything. I bought a pre-con in 2018 and it's up 50% in value. Another one up 25% in less time. Am I ever going to sell these? No. They are high-end rental stock with long-term tenants. And there's more to this, but I think that's kind of the
Mr. Green Bean, good for you. And there's many people in the same situation as you, where they bought a few years ago, value is up now in their condo, and whether you sell or whether you don't, that's your business model.
But
our situation is not a one-off situation. Your building, what you bought, has worked out great for you. And there's lots of examples like that. That's not the example we were talking about. There's lots of examples based on what we talked about. A lot of the examples we've seen are people calling us saying, I'm thinking of selling. And when we do the research for them and say, well, this is probably what it's going to sell for realistically, that's where I've pulled our story from, that these are real life, multiple buildings, multiple parts of the GTA. Lots of people are experiencing the opposite of what you're experiencing.
Okay, next comment here comes from But Why Thorum? But why Thorum?
But why? Do you have a name?
And this is an interesting one. So they said, and this was on the video where we titled it "How to Find a Desperate Seller," I believe it was. But this comment here says, the thing is that lots of people don't realize if you want an arm-twisting deal, you got to actually have the money to buy, not approval for a mortgage.
Yes and no.
I think that's one of those old
the whole
mentalities.
I'll buy it for cash and I have a cash buyer. It can help you, the buyer, when you're buying and you don't need a financing condition. But there's many people that say are for example, pre-approved for 1.5 and they're buying for 1.2 and they'll waive the financing condition. And to the seller, they don't care whether you, the buyer, are getting a mortgage or not. If you're thinking they should care, look, the vast majority of purchases are done with a mortgage.
Yeah.
The seller doesn't care these days.
I think the seller might actually even prefer someone with a mortgage because they can probably get approved for more.
They'll spend more.
I got
1.2 million. That's the max. That's all I have in cash. Versus, I could just get a mortgage for a bit more.
Extra 50,000, no big deal, right?
You're right. You know, if you're a buyer and you put in an offer and you tell the seller side, listen, my offer might be 25,000, 50,000 less than the other offers, but I'm a cash buyer. What would you do if you're a seller? Would you actually sell it for that much less because it's a cash buyer? Or would you be okay? No problem. But the other ones are paying 25, 50,000 more. I don't care if they have a financing condition. I'll wait the 3 days, 5 days, whatever it takes. Or some of them, if they're competing, they'll waive the condition. So it doesn't make as much difference as people think it does.
The only thing that sellers care about is the amount of money in their pocket at the end of the day.
Most cases.
Most cases, yeah. So, okay. Next question here comes from, or next comment here comes from Viviana Ngo. And she says, we sold our house first thinking it will go smoothly, but it took a long time to find the right home. We had to deal with offer nights and high-priced listings, and sellers don't want to lower their prices. We were running out of time because our home was closing soon. In the end, we bought a home, but it would have been better not being rushed to find one.
I'm not sure which angle to take this from.
Well, I think,
when they sold, was it a short closing date? Did they have enough time?
I don't think it really matters. I think in this case, there's always the debate of, do you buy first, do you sell first, right? And so they were in a position where they had sold their house,
which is the safest thing to do.
Which exactly, because, and this is just why I picked this comment, because you know the alternative to what happened to this person here was that they bought a home without selling their home, and then they're stuck. I don't know if they needed the funds from the sale in order to cover the purchase, but then they're stuck in a situation where they couldn't sell and maybe didn't have the amount of money to purchase.
Well, we kind of have to assume they need the money from the sale to close, because that's why they sold first.
Yes. So right? I think in this case, it worked out for this particular person, but
for some it doesn't.
We've seen many cases where it doesn't work out, and buying first is the least safer option.
Yeah, unless you're cash heavy,
yeah,
and you don't need the sale of your current home to close on the other one, then it's no problem. Buy first, and take your time buying. But if you don't need them, if you do need the proceeds from your sale from the home you're in now to close on the other one, you got to sell first. That depends on what you're looking for, because you could study that market first of what you're looking to buy and kind of have a good idea. Is it simple enough for me to buy? Are there lots of options? Or is what I'm looking for so rare that it may take me a while to buy? Then you kind of got to have a plan. Plan A is to sell. Plan B is to buy. You might have to invoke plan C, which is we've closed on our sale. We're going to rent for a little while until we find the house that we want.
But much better to have the money in the bank.
Absolutely. Than not being able to close and get sued by the sellers on the other side.
Yes. Okay, so next comment and last comment here comes from Mention Biscuit. And Mention Biscuit says, takes a lot of integrity and professional guys to come on every week and speak the truth. Many staying silent. Been to a lot of quiet dinners lately. The bravado has left the chat. Thank you for delivering the facts, no agenda.
No agenda, just the facts.
That's what
we try to do.
Thank you so much for the nice comment, and 12 people like that comment. So we appreciate all your support. That was the last comment for today.
That was the last comment for his birthday weekend.
Yes, that's right. That's right. But thank you guys so much again for watching. If you made it this far, please leave your comments in the video, or in this video, or below this video, and in the videos throughout the week. And maybe we will feature your comment on next week's video. So thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you.